Hey guys, it's Hank here. I just wanted to go over something real quick about gold and silver and currency, currency devaluation, what makes a currency worth something, in a more broader sense than you're used to seeing, as far as international exchange rates, futures contracts, fiat currency. These are all terms that you hear thrown around quite a bit, and one thing that is being pushed is monetary metals. And what I mean by monetary metals are most specifically gold, but second to that would be silver, platinum, palladium, some other rare earth elements. Okay. Now, to use gold as currency is really an antiquated model. The reason that people valued it in the past, they looked at it because it was rare, it was a finite resource. So you could always just have a kind of a specific accountability for it. You could never have more in existence. You couldn't create these asset bubbles like the Federal Reserve has done with its monetary policy, as can be done in fiat currency systems. But the reason that people put their faith in monetary metal is because they believe that other people will believe that it will be worth something. So, okay, let's say, for example, the Chinese or the Russians decide to tie their currencies to gold. So the Chinese tie it to the yuan, renminbi, and the Russians tie it to the ruble. Okay, so in that instance, they have gold-backed currencies. What real difference does it make for them to have a gold-backed currency and for the United States to have a fiat-based system? Nothing really. Think about it. When was the last time you ever saw a legitimate accounting of how much gold any nation state had? Supposedly the United States held it all in Fort Knox, and that big bank actually, I believe, was under the Twin Towers, was where all that bullion was. And it really doesn't change people's faith in the currency. What gives currency real strength is the people that stand behind it, the goods and services that it can be exchanged for, and the credibility of the government that issues it. So if you have a corrupt government, or you have inept policymakers tweaking, your monetary system, it's going to bring the value of your currency down. Now, why do you think Zimbabwe was printing? I think it was something like $1 million bill or something, $1 million bill, because people didn't have any faith in the government of Zimbabwe. They didn't have any faith in the people that managed the affairs of the bank in Zimbabwe. They didn't have any faith in the people to produce goods or services. So the currency is worthless. In the United States, there's been, and in Europe, there's been so much irresponsible handling of the monetary system, and this can be attributed to two primary things. One being algorithmic trading, because an algorithm doesn't care about price discovery. Anytime you have high frequency trading going back and forth, shaving, fractions of a cent off just trying to eke in profit gives you no bearing in reality about price discovery on stocks, commodities, anything. Totally ruins it because they don't apply into the old-fashioned methods that a human would do to discover what something was really worth. So, yes, you're generating money, but the money becomes worthless because there's no way that you can use it to assign value to something. Once you lose your ability to assign value to something through your currency, then it becomes worthless. So, and the second thing would be the money printing. Money printing is a big problem because what they've done is to rescue the economy instead of letting it fail, instead of letting the big banks fail, and making them go insolvent just like any other business would. They needed to keep liquidity in the system, keep credit going in the system to make sure that loans could still be issued, because it's a debt-based system. Every dollar that's created is actually part of a fractional reserve banking. So let's say a bank needs to only hold $1 and they can loan out 9. So those $9 are created out of thin air. And that means that the person that comes in to borrow the money to pay for a house or car loan or whatever has to pay interest on this money that was created out of nothing. So you're always going to have more debt than you're going to have capital in a system. And that a debt-based system is not a good monetary system. I much prefer things that are pegged. And that's why people do want to go to monetary metals, because they're pegged. And right now, cryptocurrencies still have some bugs and some weaknesses. But that is the smart way. The way the future is through cryptocurrency. It's a lot more secure than your own bank account or your own social security number. It takes quite a bit to exploit these hacks or these bugs, or to create these hacks. Much more so than it is to steal your bank account number. Or your identity theft sort of thing. So if you're concerned about computers taking over in that way, you're already way past the curve on that. It's not necessarily a cashless system. It's all anonymity, but I can get into how cryptocurrencies work in a different video. I just wanted to keep this one short. And so basically, if you have a cohesive group of people that are highly educated, you have the infrastructure and a government with integrity, where corruption is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, white-collar crimes are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, people will want to park their money or have their money in that particular currency because they know that the government won't come and devalue it or print it irresponsibly or, the government won't come and borrow a tremendous amount of money on the future that has to be paid back by future generations. That is something that would make a currency have greater value. The strength of the nation, the strength of the people make a currency stronger. Currency we need only and specifically to use to help us determine what things are worth, period. And you can't use gold to do that. So, say for example, you could value gold at $60,000 an ounce, if the price weren't suppressed, because as the dollar becomes weaker, gold is supposed to rise, and we already know that the commodities markets are being manipulated because not only are banks and investment houses not separated anymore, but the law has actually been given them so they can write their own paper contracts on gold and silver too. So they print money and then they short gold, and it drives the price down. So, all these people that say, oh yeah, get physical gold, get physical silver. Well, say there is an economic collapse where people do lose faith because they don't know what their money's worth anymore, because the computers are just printing it off. It's just another 0 and a 1 in a system, and it doesn't assign value to anything specifically. You don't feel your labor go into something, or you're not rewarded for your education. You find yourself always massively in debt. Those types of things is what's going to make a currency collapse. That's what's going to make the everyday person stop using currency. People are always looking to the mathematical models. The mathematical models we're way beyond the black hole point of your money being worthless, as far as the next big asset bubble in housing and in the derivatives. You're done. And not to mention the fact that the government debt, and then all the off the books government debt that's there, there's no way anybody could pay all that back. The student debt, people have a mortgage worth of debt when they get out. So definitely there has to be a revaluation, or otherwise people in my generation, they can't afford houses. Yes, they get an extremely low mortgage rate, but they pay for a house 60% overvalued, and they pay 30-year notes forever, or they get these adjustable rate mortgages. They get tricked. The same games are being played again, like in 2000 or pre-2008, where you can just go in, very little money down, and purchase a piece of property to keep these housing bubbles inflated. And the reason they do that and they keep the stock market propped up is to make the boomer generation and the one slightly below it feel a little bit wealthier. They feel like they had the equity. So in a trickle-down economic sort of way, they keep cash moving, but it's not capital investment. It's not. It's all service-based, and there's plenty of opportunity here in the United States for manufacturing. The problem is a lot of government red tape to get through. It's very difficult to get the startup capital for it, and there's tons of good ideas out there. Solar panels, building new infrastructure projects. I could think of a million different ways to put architects to work instead of seeing just the same tract houses being built over and over and over again. I don't understand why. Like, what are we specifically assigning more value to than beauty? Like, how has money become more valuable than, the beauty of your neighborhood, or the quality of the food that you eat, or, having the people around you being educated? I don't understand how you can what can you buy that's going to be better than the enrichment of your community? And that's where we're going to have to go back to a revaluation of currency. And I'll talk a little bit later about crypto. That's it for this video.